Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Katie Wismer. I'm an author and an editor, and I have 7 books out currently, and I was not planning on making this video today. Any video at all, not at all. So basically, what we're gonna be doing is reacting to the first lines of all of my different stories, you know, like long before I ever started publishing my books. And the reason why I wanted to do this is because I found this video by Katie Ann Wrights, I'll link her video down below, where she was tier ranking the first lines of her books. And I was like, oh, that's hilarious. That's such a funny idea. So I started pulling up on my computer all of my old stories just to see which ones I have, just to like look at myself because I thought they would be funny. And it was this rabbit hole that never ended, these things that I don't even remember writing. I have so many. So I thought I would share the wealth and I would just bring you guys along with me. A little bit of background, if you don't know me very well, I've been writing since I was 5. I think I got my first laptop though around like 11 or 12 years old. Specifically, my parents got me a laptop at that age because I was always writing. So that's when I started actually saving files that I have. And I think I've actually done a pretty good job throughout the years and through the many changing of laptops to keep a hold of them. So like I said, there were so many more than I was expecting, and I'll let you see for yourselves. Originally I thought, oh, maybe I'll do a tier ranking thing like Katie did, but there's so many, I don't think we could. So this is gonna just be more of a show and tell, more of just a reaction thing. When I tell you this was a rabbit hole, I would like click on a folder and then there's 10 folders within that folder. And then I would click on one of those folders and then there's 10 folders within that folder. And then I click, it's never ending. It's never freaking ending. I'm not gonna go through all of them. That would be ridiculous. Where to even start? Where to even start? Should we start with some of the more recent ones that aren't as cringy, or should we dive deep backwards first? Well, you know what, actually, what might be fun, let me start with some of the projects that I've talked about on this channel but didn't end up getting published. So for those of you who are old viewers and you've been around for a while, these are books that you've heard about, but obviously they never ended up seeing the light of day. So let's start with Project Z. I actually don't know what the first line of this is. Okay, if you don't know, Project Z is a book that I was working on probably back in 2019. It's like a sci-fi, basically college-aged Xenon from Disney. That was kind of the way I was describing it. And the first line, this is from the rough drafts too. I edited this book quite a bit, so I'm not going to go into later drafts. We're going with first draft for all of these. Stanley's crinkled expression of disgust was the last thing Lena saw before she was blinded by a yellow burst of liquid. This is gonna like make me want to go back to these projects, and we can't do that. This might be a really bad idea. Speaking of Project Z, do I have the sequel? I do. Okay, here we are. The sequel is the sequel to Project Z. We have a trend. We have a trend with these first lines. Lena was about 2 seconds away from throwing up. I don't think I've ever actually read through the draft that I wrote for the sequel. The sequel, I have like a million vlogs going through the entire process if you want to take a walk down memory lane. But after I finished the rough draft, I don't think I ever went back to read through it again, so I really don't remember much of anything about that one. What other books have we talked about on here that might be interesting for you? Which one's the rough draft? Is that this one? Okay, so if you have the special edition of the marionettes, there's like a letter from the author in the back where I talk about where the idea came from, and I talk about how there was a book that I wrote earlier that I scrapped that was terrible, but I liked some of the characters from it, so I pulled them out and I put them into the marionette series. So this is the book that was scrapped that I took Monroe, Kirby, Connor, and Avery's characters from. Oh, I think I was calling it Marionettes at Midnight. So the first line of this one, it was only 10 in the morning and I was already fantasizing about all of the ways I could kill my boyfriend. That one I probably wrote back in 2019 as well. Okay, so yeah, those are all around like 2019, I think. So let's go like further back. Oh, I don't know when I wrote this one. Back when I was writing these early books, I was horrible about naming my document files. So a lot of them, it's just like, it's not helpful for me to determine what the heck it is. So I don't know which one is the rough draft. I think it's this one. So this book was called Shift, and let me see if I can get info on it to see when I wrote it. This I wrote for a NaNoWriMo or a Camp NaNoWriMo early high school, maybe sophomore year, somewhere around there. So that would have been 2012. 12, maybe? I remember crying when Easton told me the grass was artificial, the entire landscape a lie. This book, I don't usually write books based on dreams or anything, but this one I actually wrote based off of a nightmare that I had. So even though it's been a really long time, I still remember a lot about this book because it was a pretty scarring nightmare. What else we got? Oh my gosh, I remember this one. Okay, this is a book that I actually queried back when I thought I was gonna go the traditional publishing route. And I was so proud of this book at the time. I was probably 15 or 16 because this one got so many full manuscript requests and things like that. So where is the rough draft? I have so many like query letters and things like that. I have so many freaking documents for this. Oh, interesting. I had different critique partners back here too. So this book is called Paradox. This book, from what I remember, the plot is pretty not great. But some of these characters are extremely memorable to me. Even I probably wrote this around when I was 16. Like even just like seeing their names, like it's like a familiarity kind of thing. I spent a long time on this book. I probably went through like 8 or 9 drafts with it, but the first line of this one is pain, or of the rough draft at least, pain like fire consumed Candace's face and the backs of her hands. I don't love that as a first line. I don't know why that was the first line. You know what? I actually think I started to write a sequel to this book too. Do I have that? I do. Amazing. Okay. So the title of the sequel was Equinox. I can't even remember the last time I would have read through this. Kind of a letdown of a first line. Candace was hiding from James again. I didn't realize that. That's funny because Candace is the name of a character in The Marionettes now. So I must have subconsciously hung on to that name. I know I have some like older ones. Let's go back. Oh, I have a file, or I have a folder literally titled Books I Wrote in Middle School. Perfect. Really? I have a folder for a book that I specifically remember writing in 6th grade, and it's the one that I always think of when I think of the first like novel length thing that I wrote. But if I click into the folder, it's empty. That file's gotta be around here somewhere. Like I have to have that. It's probably just in a weird place. I'm gonna be so sad if I don't have that. Maybe I'll find it as we're poking around in here. I'm not even gonna tell you the title of this one. I'm not gonna tell you. Oh my God, no. This one I probably wrote in 7th grade, around the time that I was reading Pretty Little Liars. The most common fear among people is death. Does that not just like give off the vibes of people who start their essays with like the dictionary definition of something? What is this? I don't remember this one at all. But the title of the document, I don't know if this was actually supposed to be the title of the book, or like I was saying earlier, I just wrote like weird titles of documents that didn't have anything to do with anything and made it really hard to figure out what something was. The title of the document is Purple-Eyed Freaks. And the first line is, despite the last day of school excitement, Mr. Banders lectured the class like he would on any other day. Not that memorable. The title though. I'm gonna have to like read through these again because I don't remember them. Oh my God. So I don't know if this, again, title or whatever, is Plamian? Hell if I know. It's probably like a fantasy or something. The first line. Childhood is a sanctuary where life is simple. People always tell the truth. No one ever dies. And anything you can imagine is just a blink of the eye away from being attainable. How fucking pretentious. How old was I when I was writing this? No. What is this? Oh my God. Okay. So the title of the document, I don't know if this was the title of whatever this book was, is Finding a Way. And then the first line is, if you think about it, we're all sitting on ticking time bombs. Why was I so morbid? Why are all of these like basically about death? I feel like I should know what this one is because the title sounds familiar, but I can't remember anything about this book. The title is Cavallero. Again, like I don't freaking know. The first line isn't really anything special. In the beginning, there is panic and lots of it. What is this? It's fucking long. It's like 103,000 words, but I don't know what it is. Oh my God, there's a character named Meredith in it. Apparently I recycle character names a lot. The title of this document is just the first line, you know, if you don't change it, it'll just save it as what the first line is. I hate staring at my own skin. What is this one? I have no freaking clue. I'm gonna breeze through a lot of these. We would be here all day and some of them just really are not that interesting. Let me find something good. What is this? The document title is Wake. And then just to give you the full experience, the first couple of lines is a showcased poodle. It takes me a while to get the description right, but the moment the thought pops into my head, it clicks. That's what I look like. Just goes on and on and on. Let me see if I can find one that like I actually remember anything about. This one I also queried, had a lot of critique partners, went through a lot of drafts and stuff. Where is the rough draft though? It was called Of Monarchs and Monsters. I remember this one. The barista looks about 2 seconds away from strangling Casper. That one I remember having very like divergent vibes. But also, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like this one is actually pretty similar in like the vibe to the Marionettes. The love interest is a prince, and his personality, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, is very similar to Reed's. That's funny. What? I kind of like this first line, actually. The document is just untitled Summer 2014 Project, so at least we have a date. I wake up surrounded by white, and I think I must be dying. But then I realize I'm already dead. Oh, I remember this book. It doesn't have a title. And the execution, absolutely horrendous. I think I wrote this, it must have been high school or college, but I still actually really like kind of the concept of this. I feel like maybe one day I would return to this idea. Basically, I was doing some research because I found something interesting. I found some kind of news story about this like basically kind of like a haunted house. What is the word I'm looking for? I don't know, experience. It was in the middle of nowhere in the Midwest, and it was like a campground. The experience that you pay for different levels, and you're in a tent, and so if you're in like level 1 tent and you stay there all night, you camp all night, and there's actors around there who terrorize you. So if you're in like level 1, they don't touch you. If you're in level 2, they'll like mess with your tent and stuff. If you're in level 3, they can freaking like grab your feet and like drag you through the woods. So this is a real thing that people did, and I was like really fascinated by it. So this ended up being like a horror book set there with an unreliable narrator where you don't know what's real and what's not real. And then there also might actually be people like committing murders here and hiding bodies in the campgrounds. So I still really like the concept of this book, but I was too young to try to write it. Like I wasn't capable of writing the idea at this point. And I liked it because it all happens over like a couple of days or within like a day or two. So all of the chapter headers are like 3 hours until sundown, 2 hours until sundown, stuff like that. So anyway, I don't know why this one is so memorable to me. I never revised it. It ended as a rough draft. For the first line, now 3 hours until sundown. Oh God, you can smell it. Ren gags and covers her mouth and nose with her sweater. I don't know why I gave you like the full rundown of that one. Oh my gosh, I remember this one. Where is the rough draft? Okay. So this one, I never came up with a title for, so I was just calling it Magic Users for a while. Obviously it had magic in it, and it had 4 different point of views. This one was a fun book to work on. I bet if I read through it again, it wouldn't be very good. It's almost 100,000 words. This is long. When Marlin returned to the Hughes shack of a home, the entire left side of his head was covered in blood. I feel like a lot of my first lines are pretty similar. You can tell what kinds of things I was writing. Oh my gosh. I doubt any of you have been here this long. If you have, please tell me. The first year I was on BookTube would have been back in 2016, before I had even 1,000 subscribers for, it was either a Camp NaNoWriMo or a NaNoWriMo. I was writing this book and I was talking about it on this channel. So this was probably one of the first books that I was like writing and simultaneously making videos. And I was saying it was like a mix between Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan. But unfortunately, it is a underwhelming first line. It's been an unsuccessful night. Oh, I remember this one too. The title of this one was Daughter of Murder. And the first line is, every day I, along with 26 other soon-to-be 16-year-olds, sit around a table and vote on who in the city will die. I had fun writing this, but I honestly only got about 10,000 words into it. I was probably still in high school. And this was before I really understood plot structure at all, and I just pantsed things and just started writing when I had an idea and when I was excited about something, and then I would run out of steam. I would get stuck somewhere, have no idea what to do, and then I would move on to the next thing. So this was one of those. I'm imagining this was probably around 2013, 2014 when dystopian YA was big. That's what it feels like. Okay, I'm realizing we've been doing this for a really long time. Let me see if there's any other like really good ones. You know what, just for fun, let's compare two current projects and published things. So we'll start with the ones that are actually out, and then I don't know, I guess kind of as a reward for watching all the way through, thanks for still being here, I'll give you the first lines of the things that I'm working on right now so you can get kind of a sneak peek if you care. First we have the marionettes. The lunar witch has left a dead bird in the field again. Honestly, I love this as a first line. It's one of my favorite first lines. I think it's a good fit for the book, and I think it's unusual. So then for Wicked Souls, which is the second book in this series, I don't know if this is a little bit spoilery. I never thought my blood would get added to the Queen's collection. If you know, you know. The Anti-Virginity Pact. For the record, I don't normally have a predisposition for making bad decisions. I'm like getting lost in all of these folders now. I have so many freaking things in here. The Anti-Relationship Year. Joanna Palmer started the night in the lap of a guy she didn't know. Those were all the... We won't do poetry. So now let's do some sneak peeks. How about my pen name book? This gives shit away. If you end up finding it, you'll know it's mine now. The first line, I'm not telling you the title, but the first line is, honestly, fuck the universe and its shitty sense of humor. Broken Perfect Lies, which I'm editing right now, so this might not end up being the final first line. The roar of the crowd always echoes in my ears long after I leave the stage. Gracie's book. I have such a soft spot for Gracie. How quickly I have become a complete failure. And last but not least, Bloodless Ties is weird because it has a prologue and then it also has chapter 1. But the first line of the prologue, no one told me it would hurt. Oh my gosh, this video is gonna be long. I thought it would be like a quick 10 minutes, haha, let me show you some cringy things, but there you go. Let me know which one was your favorite. I would like to think they've improved over time. If you hold on to all of your old stories, I would highly recommend taking a walk down memory lane and looking at them. This was highly entertaining for me. I'm surprised by just like the sheer quantity. I had like, in my head, there's a couple that stick out that I remember from like when I was 12 writing and stuff. There's so many little in-between ones that I completely forgot about. Anyway, that's gonna be it for today's video. If you wanna check out any of my published books, the links are down below. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys are all doing well, and I will just see you guys in our next video very, very soon. Bye.
No.